The coaches show here for Fresh Set of Downs. Very honored to have Jerry Yonchiuk from Central York as our guest this week. This is a program with a very meteoric rise as you've taken over there, Coach. You've the first district championship. You made it to the championship game of 6A last year. So thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's my honor.
Well, I'll tell you what, you had a very hard fought game. We were just talking about that before we got started there, but what a terrific start to the season, coming away with a hard fought win, at Exeter last Saturday. Tell us a little bit about, as a visiting team, having to, that long trek, not only from Friday night to Saturday. Tell us a little bit about, how you managed that with your club.
Well, it was really unusual. And what I mean by that is when we got there, we anticipated storms. And so both teams got done with the warm up. Darryl and I had a chance to get caught up on the field. It was great. And we did the coin toss. We won the coin toss deferred. And then right as we were leaving the field, the first crack of lightning. So when that happened, the 30-minute deal. Well, what we did is when we did meet, there was another issue here. One of the coaches from Exeter was getting married on Saturday. Ken didn't know this, and he was marrying the cheerleading coach. So that put a little bit of a wrench in, we didn't want to interrupt their day. Obviously, it's they wait a lifetime for that opportunity. But what we were trying to do is figure out how we were going to get this game in, because it put a damper on what they could do and how we could adjust. And we would have preferred to play it at night. I'm sure they would have as well if they didn't have a wedding plan. So it was all over the place. I just said to our guys, I said, we've been waiting this long. What's another day? What are we going to do? So we really didn't have a choice. We got home. But one of the things that was interesting, I said, well, I don't want to go through all this again. And then we travel with a travel shirt and shorts when it's really warm, like a matching team outfit. So I said, guys, strip down, put your uniform right in one spot, put the travel shorts and shirt back on. We're going back on the bus, leave your helmet, everything right where we did. So then the next morning, all we had to do is board the bus and go back and basically, hit rewind and do that again, rather than bringing everything home, taking everything off, back at the school, redoing that. So that made it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. That's a crazy story. The Exeter coaches getting married had a lot to do with the game.
Well, it did. And then the majority of their staff, I believe, was in the wedding.
Yeah.
So we really didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room. I certainly respected what they had going on, and they probably went, oh boy, why'd we get married during football season? So, but we had to make a compromise, because otherwise it would have been deemed no contest. They didn't want that. We didn't want that. So we did what we had to do, and both parties agreed, and we had at it.
Right. But Coach, like I talked about, like we talked about on the field, I think that goes to your character. And I think that's why you're so successful, because for you to knowing the distance you had to travel back home and then come back not only the next day, the next morning. So, and then to have the team ready to play, it's just a testament to your character. And just knowing you for like about 7 years now, it just cements how I already felt about you. But and then to have your team ready to play, and then again, gets a very good Exeter team to get it done. That just says the world about you and your program.
Well, I appreciate that, Darryl, because, we have a great group of kids and staff. I was a fortunate one to get this position when Josh Oswalt went to Cumberland Valley. And what I tried to do is put my spin on what he already developed. And the majority of the staff were holdovers. He took some guys with him, and, they had a plan in place. And then I just tweaked it and put my spin on it, my blueprint, and try to take it to the next level, and it worked for us. So we were pretty fortunate with the run that we had, and that was just a really talented group. But the interesting part about it is the guys that were on that team, we only had 2 returning starters on defense, and we had 3 returning starters on offense. Now, having Bo, that's a whole different deal with our quarterback, but just really proud of the fact that the guys got a lot of work and reps last year in some of the the wins that we got up on people, and they were ready to go. They're untested, but Carter Glassmeyer, our linebacker,
Oh
there's
God,
no
yeah.
exaggeration. He had 26 tackles. I'm
I
not.
know. I kept saying, they kept saying that name over and over and
That was
over.
true. I mean, I'm not, and I don't. It's not like he's around the ball. He gets one. I mean, he legitimately he had 20 solos and 6 assists. I've
Right,
only had one other kid do more than that in all my years of coaching. So that was
right.
pretty special.
Yeah. I mean,
Very responsible.
he was very active that game. He was very physical. I mean, I saw a couple times he cramped up and guys were, he was like, "Get off me, I'm fine," whatever. And
Yeah.
he's almost like a throwback of like the back in the day linebackers. He did not want to come off that field, and like he emptied the tank, and you saw the extra guys after a tackle helping him up or whatever, because you have to show respect for guys that play that hard and that well. And again, I think that young man is going to have a bright future somewhere at the next level.
Well, I appreciate that. And they were. I thought there was great sportsmanship amongst
Oh yeah,
that. You know, I mean, he plays hard, he plays clean. And just yesterday when I shared with our guys, I said, guys, you probably don't know what Carter did. And I shared with them the tackles. His arms are literally, you would have
yeah,
thought like he got hit by a car or something. He is
yeah,
so bruised and you know, the scars and basically like the scabs and things from just getting hit and, you know, from
yeah,
the bleeding and stuff. He took a pounding, but never once said, like you just said, I'm
yeah,
not out. You know, he was going to lay it all on the line. And you have to admire that for this era that we're in now, that a guy would play that hard.
yeah.
Speaking about, an era that we're in, um, Darryl and I talked for years, it was about how great it was going to be for District 3 football to have somebody from, the York Adams area kind of, rise up and become a powerhouse in the league. What has it meant for, York Adams sports for you and your team to really take control of football, not only in District 3, but make it to a championship game?
It was special in the fact that it was unique. But for me, Bruce, I was new to this program. You know, I had the chance of coaching in the Mid-Penn and was at Lebanon. So I wasn't, I don't want to say shocked. I mean, I knew we had a talented team. So it didn't matter to me if that team was from the Mid-Penn, from the Lehigh Valley. Like I never looked at it that way, other than I knew they were talented. And if COVID did not curtail our quest, that we'd have a shot to go a long ways. And we did, to end up in the state championship game was special. I'm hoping maybe that some other York Adams teams, was proud that maybe we represented them well, but I really didn't look at it that way. Just maybe that would open the door that there's some very other talented teams in the league. And maybe it's just one of those deals where they had to say, okay, someone kicked the door open. I don't know. I just was told that, well, no one from York Adams ever wins. I said, I didn't want to hear that, only because not from an arrogant standpoint, but I really believed in that group. I said, I don't care what league we're from, or if we're from New York, Connecticut, didn't matter. I mean, we had a heck of a team. So I knew that they were going to do what they had to do, regardless of what league or affiliate we were. So I appreciate the positive comments on it, but they were truly a special group.
What would you attribute your success in coaching to?
I think being able to relate to young people, I've been doing this a long time. And when you're dealing with a 14 to 18-year-old young man, it's gotta be real. It can't be fake. I'm not phony. I care about my players a great deal, but I care about them as people first. And I think once they realize that, and even coming in, because I didn't know how it would be taken, because Coach O had a heck of a year the year before, and they ran into a buzzsaw with Harrisburg, and they had all these guys back, and then COVID hits. So the only thing we did was like what we're doing now. We're doing Zoom. But I think they could see that. I said, guys, what you see today is what you're going to get. Either you like it, you may hate it, but this is how you're going to be treated. I'll treat you hard, treat you the way I treat my own children. And, but I coach with a lot of enthusiasm and passion. And I think that's important. And I really just try to be a student of the game. Until I retire, I'm going to keep working at it.
Darryl,
And I
you
think
got
the
another
biggest
question?
thing now for all high school sports, and like I said, like we talked about again, not to keep beating a dead horse, but like we talked about on the field, I've been fortunate to work with a ton of athletes and a lot of teams, being able to go to different games every Friday. I think the biggest thing you see with coaches and schools and programs that are successful is accountability. It's almost like coaches are afraid to hold kids accountable, um, make them answer for their issues. So I think the reason why, again, you're successful, a lot of coaches, a lot of programs like the Wilsons and Mayhem Centers, the YMSings, they hold kids accountable. They have a system, and if you don't follow in that system, they don't care about who's better. You're going to play if you do the right things. And I think if coaches continue to be and trainers continue to train that way and hold kids accountable, that's going to make a big difference. But if you don't, I mean, that's why you have programs like if you get in a game, you get down by a touchdown, they fall apart because they're not used to adversity. They're not used to tough times and tough situations, and people hold them accountable. And I think that makes it tough.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah, the other thing too, and I'll be honest with you, I've been fortunate enough to to visit Central York, multiple times, not only for football but for basketball as well. The thing that's always impressed me about it is, the culture that surrounds the school. Talk a little bit about the culture of Central York and what that's meant in rising the program up to success.
Well, I think first of all, Bruce, they believe that they're going to be successful. The volleyball program there for decades has been off the charts, one of the best in the state. And they win pretty much at all their sports. But just as Darryl said, being accountable, buying in, like even this summer, and I noticed this last year, here we had COVID, and I had 95% of the kids there for the entire summer. It wasn't because I said, you must be here, but they knew the expectation level was to be there. And this year they didn't want it to fall off because they could have said, well, okay, we knew we were going to have this special team, but they're back at it and they don't want to be the team that drops the ball and then they're no longer, successful. So I think the bar's been raised. Can we hit it every year? We'd certainly hope and maybe, get over to that bar, but the expectations are just high with everything they do there, from the academics, arts. Like when a kid walks in that school, they expect to be successful.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's just very impressive just walking to the gym, going through the natatorium there. I mean, that's so so impressive, in the weight room or whatever like that. No, I think that just sets a great example that, get really good facilities, really great culture. So that, I mean, that's what these athletes are surrounded with each and every day. And I have to believe that equals success, just in the confidence level that it breeds, wouldn't you say?
I believe so. They, like I said, they expect positive results. And, just going back to like last Saturday, I mean, we were outplayed. Exeter is an excellent football team, but for some reason there, our guys just did not want to either quit, or they didn't have that doubt that Darryl talked about, getting down. I mean, there were times we probably could have put a second score up and maybe they would have, had doubt in their eyes, but they didn't. They kept fighting back, but at the very end, and it had to be pretty much a goal line stand effort, and they did what they had to do. So I think that's a credit to the previous staff that I took over for, and just the belief that they have, and that's continuing to go through. And like I said, we're just trying to raise the bar, and they expect it to win, and that's tremendous.
I think that's a great point. What he made there, Darryl, is that the expectation now is a winning attitude. Okay. Not trying to get to that point, but you've achieved that, and the expectation is so much higher than maybe it had been previously. And that just kind of permeates. I mean, it takes on a life of its own when the expectations are raised, wouldn't you say, Darryl?
Absolutely. And also though, when winning comes, it brings a lot of attention also, and it brings a lot of people recognizing and understanding that, if there's a good coaching going on, there's a good program going on, a lot of people are going to want to be a part of that situation. So I think coach is in a great situation, again, being the leader in York right now, and there's no one can take that away from him. And I think he is going to set him up to be in a good position for a lot of years to come. So, well,
good, coach. I tell you, coach. Look, it was very kind of you to spend some time here this evening. I mean, obviously you had some items you had to attend to here this evening, as we all have, preparing for this storm and what have you. But I know from my perspective, it's been a pleasure for us to meet, and I hope that down the road that as the season progresses or what have you, hopefully maybe we can get you on again. What do you say?
I appreciate that. I'm going to hold Darryl that he's got to get to one of our games now and complete the mission.
Coach, I'm being in the locker room fired up. I'll be on the sideline. You know that.
I know that. I appreciate it. I've had the pleasure of getting to work with Darryl, with Jim Catafio, and really, really appreciate his excellence. And I know what a tremendous player you were, Darryl, and what you're doing now is just amazing. So proud that I can call you a friend.
I appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah, and I'm blessed. I get to sit and talk football with this guy for an hour plus every single week, man. I tell you what, it is such a blast. And so anyway, well, listen, Coach, thank you very much. Wish you all the best, not only this week, but the rest of the season, okay?
Thank you very much, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
All right,
All right,
thank
thanks,
you
Coach.
very much.